Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to People Who Miss, where we go over the craziest, most ridiculous, downright dumb arguments that people put forth online for some dumbass reason. Today's special guest will feature Rose Kai, the man himself who is claiming for the 2 billionth time that Goku beat Saitama. Will he bring anything new or interesting to the table? Probably not. But let's get right into it, shall we? On another episode of People Who Miss.
Can Saitama actually one-punch anyone? The answer is no, and let me tell you why. Firstly, in a versus battle the two characters fighting, for example Goku and Saitama, are put into a neutral verse, which means neither character's universe.
Burden of proof fallacy. Please actually provide me evidence that this is the factual thing that would occur. And if you can't, that means your claim is baseless and can be dismissed via Hitchin's razor. Just because you're the one committing the fallacy doesn't make it right. So, stop treating it like it's fact when it's not fact. The standard of versus battles does not mean it needs to be followed. It's an arbitrary rule you're placing on debating that we have to axiomatically agree on to move forward. If we want to put Saitama versus Goku in a versus battle and allow gags, we can do that. It's not a law, it's an arbitrary rule. So again, please provide evidence that a neutral verse is the factual thing that would happen in a versus battle and not just a random rule that is being placed on this fight in particular for no reason. Since you cannot provide proof, your claim is baseless.
This is to eliminate plot armor and put both characters on an even battlefield where no author is above the other. In other words, to make it fair.
Yes, of course, because getting rid of the one thing Saitama can beat Goku with is making it fair. Of course, how could I have not seen that before? Also, it's 20 seconds into the video and you still haven't provided proof for this statement. Since all of your statements in your video follow from this one, and the fact you haven't substantiated it with anything, we can just dismiss everything you're saying since you're neglecting to provide proof.
Secondly, using the argument that Saitama can one-punch anyone because he is created to be able to is the use of plot armor, which as I stated before is eliminated in a neutral verse.
You still haven't provided proof for this statement. Since all of your statements in your video follow from this one, and the fact you haven't substantiated it with anything, we can just dismiss everything you're saying since you're neglecting to provide proof. This really isn't. If there's a character with the gag to lose every fight no matter what, then when they're placed into a fight, this character would lose every fight no matter what. That's the gag. That's the joke. That's not plot armor to lose the fight, it's a trait inherent to the character itself. So when someone says Saitama's gag would make him win, that's not plot armor, they're just referencing something inherent to Saitama's character.
Lastly, using the argument that Saitama is a gag character is just f***ing AIDS. Why? Because gag characters aren't f***ing invincible cross-verse.
Which you have still not provided evidence for. Please provide evidence that this is the case.
Which for you dumb f***s means not in his own verse. Gag abilities, for example, Saitama can one-punch anyone, are plot-reliant. They rely on the plot of the show. And remind me again what's excluded in a neutral verse? Plot. Plot is excluded.
Alright, do you have evidence for that? And if you're about to tell me, but Josh, you can't prove a negative claim, yes you can. I can prove that there are no elephants in my pocket by showing you a picture of my pocket and having you realize that there are no elephants in there. You can prove negatives, so please prove this negative.
Therefore, since gag abilities rely on plot, they don't work in a versus battle.
When you're making this claim here, can you back it up with literally anything? This is an absurdly ridiculous argument. By your own flawed logic, feats are plot reliant, because without the plot, Goku would have never gotten Ultra Instinct, Deku would have never unlocked 20% full Cowling, and Naruto would have never Rasengan for the first time. All of these things are abilities that the characters have that are technically reliant on plot, but since you're going to claim the false equivalence fallacy and say gag abilities are different, allow me to cite examples of gags not being plot reliant. Anyone here ever watch Astif movie? It has a bunch of gags, jokes, and recurring gags. There is no plot to Astif movie, but the gags themselves, like this character, whose only gag is to say I like trains, then either him or whoever he is near is then run over by a train that comes out of nowhere, is a gag character. These are gags, and they are reliant on no plot whatsoever. They simply exist in a vacuum. Jokes and gags are not reliant on plot. Just because Saitama's gag exists in a world with a plot does not mean his gag is plot reliant. Since I have to be the one to actually provide evidence, there is your evidence. Gags are not plot reliant with evidence, but you're claiming that they are plot reliant with no evidence. Think about that for a second. On top of this, no plot does not equal no gag, because if there were no gag, there would still be plot, similar to how there would still be plot if there were no feats. And to hammer it home that no plot does not equal no gag, here are the definitions of gag and plot. How do these things relate at all?
Therefore, since gag abilities rely on plot, they don't work in a versus battle.
And remind me again where your evidence is that this neutral verse standard is factually proven to be 100% correct and not a random rule that you are using. As I explained earlier, gags are not reliant on plot. By your own logic, superhero abilities rely on plot, therefore they don't work in a versus battle. Saitama, Psyche, and Cabbage Guy from Avatar, all gag characters that exist in some sort of plot. Gumball, the I Like Trains kid, Mind Turtle, all gags that exist outside of a plot. All of them are gags, so claiming that gags would not work cross-verse because they rely on plot, especially with no evidence, is stupid. Also, I posted a comment on this video saying that gag is not equal to plot and that the neutral verse thing is an arbitrary rule, and mysteriously my comment is gone now. Just wanted to point that out to everyone. But yeah, Rose, you're wrong. You 100% missed on this. Please provide evidence for your claims next time, and/or please admit when something is an arbitrary rule that has no basis in factuality. Your whole argument is effectively, if we get rid of the thing that Saitama can use to beat Goku, then Goku would win. Yeah, well no shit, Sherlock. Good job. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of People Who Miss. We went over this trash-ass argument put forth by Rose Kai. It's a really stupid argument that has no basis in anything. He is literally just stating things without even knowing the definition of plot or gag, and provides no evidence for his central claim, which all of his other points are based off of, meaning all of his premises are invalid, making his argument invalid, on top of just being plain wrong. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and become a member today to support me. Join the Discord with the link in the description, or in my link tree, blah blah blah. No matter what I say here, every Goku fan is going to move the goalpost once again and say somehow, some way that Saitama cannot beat Goku, but oh well. I'll see you all next time.